Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and we have another installment in our Let's Learn Marvel series, and this one is at the request of the comments in the YouTube videos, actually. So this is about what is the neutral game in Marvel. And I feel it's a bit of a loaded question, honestly, but I'm going to try to do my best to explain it, and let's see how we can work this out. Now, I guess we should just probably start at the start, and what is the concept of neutral to begin with? So neutral, and this really applies for any fighting game. It doesn't really matter if Marvel or it could be Street Fighter, it could be Mortal Kombat, really, whatever it is. It's a concept of what is your game plan when you're not really directly in front of each other. If you're directly in front of each other, you're going to absolutely prioritize fast moves, either on defense or if you're on the offense, you're looking how to crack open the other guy's defense. But your offense or defense is limited to a range of what's quick, what's high or low, and you're just like infighting. And from there, the breadth of your options are fairly limited because there's only certain right options to make once you're really up close. Now, if you're a bit further away, you got a little bit of room to breathe, like either character doesn't really matter. From there, we can set up shop and you go like, what do I want to accomplish with this character when I'm not directly in the other guy's face? So I have Nemesis selected here, so let's use him as an example. Nemesis is roughly, and I play Nemesis myself, I say roughly this range is where I feel the most comfortable. I have very long range moves. These are moves that, other people, like these are buttons they can't contest. Like no one really has that range you can contest it from. So I'm very comfortable, doing this, unless they do have like a Rocket Raccoon, because, it's just going to plumb over your head at that point, right? But my jumping fierce kick, forward fierce kick, jump forward fierce, like I own this whole part of the screen. So this is where I'm very comfortable fighting. And once you feel like you want to stop contesting me in the ground or the air with my long range moves, that's the point where I'm going to toss out some rockets. And my game plan as thinking Nemesis is, oh, I got a rocket, great. So at that point, I got a rocket, good. I'm going to tag in and get some mana or combo. So from there, as Nemesis, as my front man, I want to be roughly in this position. Now, say you're Rocket Raccoon, and this is a different mindset. If you're not directly in the other foe's face, and Rocket's, quite good with like instant overhead and stuff. He's great up close, don't get me wrong, right? But what you want to do at that point is you either want to call in Groot to use his long range moves, or you want to set up his very dastardly landmines and try to trick your foe into it. So that is his concept of setting up shop when his enemy is not directly in his face. Well, okay, I have time to breathe. That means I have time to set up landmines. And now it's the onus on the enemy to stop me from doing my landmines before I get them set up. So once again now, switching back to Nemesis, I'm very happy doing this game of, using my long range moves. But if I see a Rocket Raccoon, setting up shop, I don't want to just let him do that. So now my very comfortable space of I'm willing to, just sit back and, do my long range stuff, I'm gonna try to get in now. I don't want Rocket Raccoon to get his game plan off, because he has the more dominant option between the two neutrals. Nemesis, his neutral game mindset is I can feel lazy, I can just sit back, I let you come to me. But Rocket has no real want to come to you. He's gonna set up shop and pester you, and then you have to come to him, which kind of invalidates Nemesis' game plan. So there's a lot of to and fro, back and forth, and it's kind of a war of the mind space of who has the more effective neutral game plan and who's going to force the other guy to crack first and change up their game plan. So with that said, I want to give you a couple ideas here. I'm going to pick a couple characters and give you an idea of some archetypes of how these characters work in their neutral game plans. Now, very quickly before I go a little more in depth here, all the names I'm going to use, there's no set names. You can really use any kind of nomenclature you care to use yourself. But I feel these are just kind of general descriptors, and that's what I'm going to use. That said, Spider-Man, I would put him in the rushdown category of archetype. He does have some limited zoning. He can shoot web balls, and web balls are fine because web balls can lead to combos and stuff. But he really wants in, and he absolutely has a moveset that facilitates this. He can use Web Glide to get in. He has a fantastic Wave Dash to really quickly get in. He has all sorts of manners of angles he can use aerial-wise to get in. And that's it. And once he's in, he has very quick overheads. He can force all sorts of high-low stuff. It's fantastic. Now, One thing though, if you're, between the wave dashing and web glide, absolutely fantastic ways in, but they're kind of limited and kind of obvious, right? So that kind of brings us to our next archetype, which is the facilitator. So Doctor Strange is what I would consider a facilitator, and that would mean helping the more offensively oriented of the two characters you're controlling to get in and do what they do better than they can do it themselves. So to show you here, a good example, Eye of Agamotto. We do this, we impact palm, it comes, it's a big hitbox, hard to avoid, and on top of that, it tracks. So we try to jump over it, maybe not so good, right? So we can do that, tag in our partner who's more aggressively minded, and not only do you have to worry about what your partner normally brings to the table, for Spider-Man would be like web glides and, really good wave dashing and, quick overheads, lows, all that stuff. But they also have the Eye of Agamotto coming in, and they have to worry about that, and it's really going to limit their options. So we can get a lot more vicious with this, with some sort of setup like this, using Daggers of the Knack, which is another homing move. So we can go Eye of Agamotto, Daggers, Palm It, bring in Spider-Man. Now we have two separate homing attacks they have to worry about, on top of old Spider-Man trying to open up like a can opener. So the facilitator's job is to make the more offensively minded partner really shine in their offensive role. Now, next to speak about is the classic zoning archetype. Zoners in neutral, just like anyone in Marvel, they will get in, you will have to do your combo, sure. But their game plan is, generally, they won't be in unless either A, it's forced upon them, or they have an advantageous situation like, say, Chris with a very large flamethrower. You can cancel that into a Magnum and get a combo from there, right? So, and since we're using Chris, let's talk about Chris. Chris, his zoning is both a great offensive tool and defensive tool. You're going to use a lot of defense, He has a lot of gunshots, Magnum's really fun. And you're going to use it a lot, and this kind of goes back. Now, as I'm describing these archetypes, just because I'm putting someone in one archetype doesn't mean they can't fit in multiple. So we use Doctor Strange as a facilitator idea, right? Chris can do much the same. He can do jump gunshot, and as the jump gunshot's coming down, you tag in your next guy. And maybe the lockdown's not as savage as what Doctor Strange can put out, but absolutely can help. But Chris has a game plan. He wants to throw grenades, put down mines, trick you into a lot of possibilities, harass you with gunfire, and just kind of go from there. And a lot of this culminates with his jumping fierce kick. This is quite a good move. It's one of the best jump attack in the game. So the projectile travel time is effectively near instant, and you can use it while getting away. Depending on your jump angle, say if you're super jumping, you can get 2 of them per jump. So you can just use reload to cancel out. And when that timing is done, you get a second gunshot. You can also use it to pepper your opponent while jumping forward, and once again, perhaps tagging in a partner. Or, using it by itself. But a lot of his role is to keep away and frustrate his foe, and that's what his zoning archetype helps him do. Now, someone like Hulk is what I would like to call the bulldog archetype. All the subtle nuances of neutral, like keep away from zoning, maybe harassing with long-range buttons, or trying to, attack from proper angles for an offensive character, all this goes out the window. I'm not saying you can't play someone like a Hulk smart, but Hulk wants to charge in, he wants to armor through your stuff. He doesn't want to worry about the nuances, and someone like a Hulk, definitely someone like a Thor, Sigma, they can kind of throw the greater thought process into the garbage can and just go in with armored moves, and if it hit, great, if it hit, it's combo time, we can get some sort of combo, fantastic. And if it didn't hit, thanks to the wonders of the tag system, you can tag out, make it safe for the most part. Now, don't consider me, I'm not bagging on this, I play Sigma myself, right? So I'm not bagging on this playstyle, but the Bulldog style character, they don't really care for what's going on other than just keep on doing the moves that'll bring them in and, make you scared of them. You're going to change your game plan. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to accommodate the fact that they're just going to Bulldog in, non-stop charging, non-stop armor. And once you have changed your game plan to accommodate for it, that's kind of where the Hulk player, or Sigma or Thor or whatever, that's where they really win, because now you're playing their game. You're moving around scared of what they have to offer, and now they're dictating the pace. And when they're dictating the pace, that's half the battle won already. Now, of all the possible archetypes discussed here so far in this video, Hagar is mostly alone in the defensive wall archetype. Hagar is a rock. Hagar can get in, but his getting in is limited on, his very active jumps, or he's just going to try to attempt to convert into a combo with a pipe or something, but he's got no real way to get in other than to get in the old-fashioned way. And Hager's real game plan is not so much for him to get in, but for you to kill yourself on him. He is the noose you're going to hang yourself with, thanks to a bevy of invincible moves. You know that, his punch super. Hager is going to fight with his back to the wall most of the fight, and that's fine. It's expected. He is going to want you to get overly aggressive and do that. Now, that said, he obviously then suffers from, as we mentioned before, the more zoning archetypes like a Hawkeye or Chris. Since he already struggles to get in, other than, just trying to get in the old-fashioned way, they can easily play keep away with him. They don't want to attack him. They're not going to risk a lariat. They're not going to risk any invincible moves. So this kind of character really suffers from that. But their neutral game plan is simply, wait for the neutral phase to end. They want you to get close. So we got Iron Man here. Iron Man getting overly aggressive, A-way air dashing, doing a lot of aerial moves. Fantastic. Hager wants that to happen. Hager is willing to give up the space if you're willing to move forward, because that's part of his game plan. The closer you get to there, the closer you get to his jaws, because all of a sudden, you're in pile driver range. You did all of his work for him. He didn't have to traverse any screen. You willingly gave it up by walking forward to him. And that's kind of his game plan, is just letting you hang yourself. And now the final archetype, and this is honestly the best archetype, which is simply the all-rounder. That's why I got Dante here. I'm making this about a week before the patch hits, and don't get me wrong, Dante, he's got 2 pages of nerfs, sure, but he's still one of the best characters of the games even after the nerfs. And it's because of not so much the damage or any one particular move, it's the fact he's got a million moves and he can play any game plan he wants. So if he wants to hover from this range, great. We got stuff like Stinger. He's got amazing range on his normals. If he wants to play a bit more keep away, like he can do basic stuff like that. Like I mentioned how Hager has trouble against zoning. Maybe Dante's zoning isn't as dedicated as a Hawkeye or Chris, but this is more than serviceable to frustrate people. If Dante wants in, he's in whenever he wants. If Dante wants in, he's got long-range moves like Jetstream. He can just teleport in. There's nothing Dante doesn't excel at, and that's why he's the all-rounder. When you give him this space to breathe in, Dante's game plan is simply whatever occurs at the moment. He can run away, he can box jump in with all sorts of crazy buttons. He just does whatever he wants to do. And, like say Zero's much the same. Zero has crazy box jumps, he has giant hitboxes, he has more than serviceable keep away, especially if he does his install. These kind of characters, and to a lesser extent, I'd also put, like, say, an Ultron or Nova in this category. They excel in anything they really want to do. They can play far away, they can play close up, they can play mid-range. The concept of neutral to them is whatever they want to be, honestly. So I hope by breaking stuff into archetypes, you can kind of get the general game plan that people want to do when they have a little bit of space to work with. Now, I'm on Nova right now, so Nova... just as a general rule here, I'm not going to put in an archetype. Like I said, I believe he's a bit more of an all-rounder. He can do Javelin all day. So if he wants to do Javelin all day, you got to come to him. And, for him, fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. He has so many angles of attacks. If he wants to get in, that's great. But for him, once he's roughly this range, maybe he wants to slide, sneak in a quick little combo if he, does it from the correct spacing. There's a lot of ways to play it. I feel like I'm still having some trouble explaining what neutral is, because Marvel is so much more complex than pretty much any other game out there, really. Since there's so much mobility options, all sorts of crazy teleports are the norm in this game. There's so many wacky things you can do. It's a bit hard because the pace is so quick. It's not quite like the Street Fighter. I shoot a fireball, you want to jump it. Oh, I hit you with my uppercut. You can't dictate the pace quite to that degree because of how fast Marvel is. But I just hope, anyways, just quick breakdown of archetypes, just give you the idea of what characters what they should be looking for in the neutral. And once again, just because I said someone might be one thing, like I mentioned how Sigma's a great bulldog, and he absolutely is, don't get me wrong. When it comes to bullying people with armor, that's among the best in the game. Not a lot of people can match that. But, he could just as easily, you can say he's a zoning, right? This eats up a lot of the screen. A lot of characters will struggle, and they'll have to, at least, block for a second, rethink, then either make a calculated risk to try to get in, and at which point, him being a bulldog, he can just say, oh well, and just go for it, and if, gets blocked, tag out, sure, whatever. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling, but I'm very sorry about that. Anyways, I hope this video found you well. Thank you very much for watching. Go out and play some Marvel.